Don't you just hate it when you're so close to wrapping up a deal or booking an appointment and all of a sudden you blow it, right? The lead goes ghost, they ignore you, they're not interested anymore, they disappear out of nowhere, and you're sat there thinking, what did I do wrong? Well, as somebody that is still in the appointment setting game, has made well over 6 figures with it, has worked with people like Charlie Morgan and William Brown, I'm going to show you my exact process of how to re-engage ghosted leads and get them locked in, right? This is an example that I did last week. So you can rest assured that what I show you, especially on this channel, works today, okay? This is what to do when a lead ghosts you after previously showing interest. Okay guys, let me show you an example of a lead that I had, I think it was last week or a couple of weeks ago. It was very recent, where they were very, very, very warm. They were about to book on a call, and then all of a sudden, they kind of just like lost interest, like got cold feet and just didn't book in, right? Well, a lot of you guys are going to be stuck on this. You're going to be like, what am I doing wrong? Why didn't it work? And then you're going to go starting to change your process and getting all butthurt and upset and emotional about it. Well, listen, I'm going to show you how to re-engage these guys, okay? Because here's the thing, like this is the way I like to think of it. If they've shown interest in the past, right? If they've shown like really good interest like this guy has, and then all of a sudden at the end he goes, oh, actually I'm not going to do it. If they have that base level interest, and they're both of those ingredients right there is the perfect recipe for an appointment being booked, or at least a sale being closed, okay? So this lead was extremely warm. Let me show you. So he tried to book a call, as you can see here. Hey, try booking a call. Bio was not working, right? The link in the bio was not working. Well, listen, this guy has actively tried to book in a call himself. So he hasn't needed us in the first place to try and get him locked in. He saw our content and he thought, you know what, this looks great. I'm going to try and book in a call and see what it's all about. So he's already shown a massive level of interest, right? So this guy's extremely warm, which is a key thing to know. But here's the thing, right? So don't just assume when they send you an inbound message like this that they're instantly a good fit. We need to do a little bit further qualification like I've done here. So this also gets them to restate their pain, making it easier for us to leverage and booking them on the call, right? So for example, this guy here, I wanted to qualify a little bit harder. So I said, hey, let's sort this out now. Apologies, before we do, mate, just a quick question: where you're based? I want to make sure time zones are feasible for you, and also if you can give me a quick rundown of where you're at with the business, exactly what you're looking for help with, right? It also makes them restate their pain, makes them think about their problem, and just gives us leverage to actually book them in. If we keep talking about the pain they're in and their problems and leveraging that into how we can actually solve it, okay? So as you can see here, right, so he said I'm in Dubai too. Now the reason I've done that, I wanted to make sure, because the client I'm working with does have awkward time zones for some people, because sometimes we book in people from the States but we're in the Dubai time zone, so I need to make sure they actually are feasible, okay? And you can also do this as a little bit of a sneaky way to qualify someone. Let's say some offers you're going to be on only want access to first world countries, and the reason for that is because if it's a high ticket program, if people don't have 8k to invest, that's fine. You can get access to credit and funding and loans really easily in like the States or the UK. So some people might be like, look, I only want first world leads. The way to do that without saying, hey, are you in a first world country, is just to ask their time zone. Okay, that's not the reason I did it. I actually did it because we do have awkward time zones being in Dubai, but that's also a little bit of a tip for you guys as well. Okay, you can do that to gauge whether like they're in a first world country or not, especially if it's a high ticket offer. I mean, that's probably going to be one of your criteria points. First world country purely because it's easier to get access to high level funding. If they don't have it like readily available right there, you can get access to credit a lot easier in places like the States compared to somewhere that doesn't really have opportunities like that. Okay, so he's highlighted his pain and what he's struggling with, making it easier to bridge our service as a solution he needs. So here he said, mainly looking for help with ads and just scaling up. Now this tells me a lot. Okay, so this guy is clearly already in a very good financial position for us to work with him. Okay, because people that are looking to have help with ads and scale up the business, if you're going to look into ads, it means you've already got finances to invest. If you've got finances to invest, it means your business is probably doing at like a decent level. And if it's doing at a decent level, that ties back into having finances to invest, which means we can actually work with them because he has the finances, right? So that's financial qualification for me. Just by reading that means he's financially qualified, okay? He said, I also saw some interviews of your clients and was pretty intrigued how the paper results work, okay? So I asked him if he's currently running ads here, right? To explain why it may not be working and why our solution will, okay? So awesome, man, you're running ads currently. I'm so glad you got the interviews, mate, means a lot. So he already checked out our page, our interviews, etc. So like I said, he's extremely warm. But I can see here, there is a slight price concern which we'll need to be aware of because it will come up as an objection later on, which it does. I'll show you in a minute. But I could see this a mile off just by him saying, oh, I wanted to see how the paper results work. That means price is going to be an issue for him, okay? So we need to keep that in mind. So this guy is financially qualified, right? His business is where we want it to be. He fits our niche, right? And now we basically have quite a lot of leverage to know that this guy is very likely to book in a call because he matches all the criteria for a good lead and a good booking, right? He's got the interest, he wants to change now, he's got finances, and he's found us himself, okay? So just be aware of this. When people say, oh, I'm interested to hear how paper results work, depending on if you run, that is going to inevitably become a price objection when booking in the call and being on the call, okay? When someone says, oh, I'm curious to hear about your pricing model, price is going to be a big thing for them, okay? So keep that in mind. So he's running ads and also has a setter on board, as he said here, right? This tells me he has a big lead gen issue, which is exactly what we solved, right? So yes, but currently paused as I'm onboarding a new setter, okay? And like I said previously, budget for ads plus a setter equals financially qualified and has high desire to change right now, right? So what I did, because he seemed very qualified, right? I thought, you know what? Let's do it, okay? I've answered the questions correctly, right? You're a qualified lead, let's book you in. Went for the first call attempt, it backfired. This can set us back massively, as seen later. But you'll see it here. So I sent in the calendar. It didn't work, right? For example, he said that he booked in. I don't know if he actually did. Some people will say they booked in when they haven't. Sometimes people will book in and it won't go through. Like if you haven't got a solid system in place to making sure your bookings actually go through and there are times available, it is really easy to lose leads. Okay, so just really don't. Just don't let this slip through your fingers. Okay, so this guy said tomorrow 12:30 p.m. Dubai time. I couldn't find it, right? So I said, was it 12 p.m. tomorrow available? Just now when you checked. Sorry, typo, 11:30. 11:30 was available. I said, I've actually only got Monday at the earliest. Okay, so I don't know if this guy was actually telling the truth. But basically, the call didn't go through, whether that's true or not. Okay, whether he did actually try to. So basically what that means is we have to manually do it on our side, especially if they can't find a time or it didn't go through. Let's say the time is available still and they tried to book it, it didn't work. It's easier just to ask for their details and book them in manually so you can get it done really quickly, okay? Just to not, waste any time. So time on our end wasn't available anymore. So when I went to go and check, it wasn't available. So I said, I've actually only got Monday at the moment. Must have been an error. Now what happened there is he ignored my last message when I actually sent that. When I sent this message here, you can't see it, but he ignored it, right? And the call wasn't booked in. So he ignored it, and I decided to follow up with him, okay? Because when someone's that warm and that close to booking on a call, you don't just leave it. You follow up ASAP. I'd say even the same day, within an hour or 2 hours, okay? So as predicted, the price objection arises, handle it with a guarantee, risk reversal, and tie it back to the call. So you can see here, will do, quick question before I book. I know on the landing page it says pay on results. Is that actually true? Price objection, okay? You can tell that's a massive problem for him, so we need to combat that right now. I said, if we're a good match, which is a really good line that you can use to tie it back into getting them to book in the call, because the only way to establish if they're a good match is to book in the call and have a chat to establish it, right? Then the guarantee we have is we basically guarantee you an extra X, and otherwise, if not, if we don't get you X, we have to X. I'm not going to show you because it's dependent on the offer that I'm on. I don't want you guys to see sensitive information, right? And he said again, so you can clearly see here, price is a big deal. Okay, so I'm assuming there would be quite a big upfront investment. Okay, now this bit here was like the bot just got activated for some reason, so you know it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so essentially, yeah, as predicted, price objection arises, had to hand it the guarantee, risk reversal, and tie it back to the call. If we're a good match, basically means we need to have a chat to establish it, right? And he's really not budging without hearing the price, so don't fumble it here. So again, he said, roughly, what does it look like? You know, you're going to get people that say, oh, I understand that, but can you give me a rough idea, Again, don't fall for it, don't fumble it here. Like, it's just a surefire way to getting them to not book in the call. Okay, when someone says, can you give me a rough idea, you have to still tie it back to the call, man. Like, even if they push it, even if they try and get you to say the price and they've got you by the ropes, don't share the price over the DM, because then they never book in, right? You have to understand that. If you ever share financial details before they've had a call, they will never book in the call because they feel like the call is not necessary anymore because they already know the price, and then you won't be paid as a setter. So never share the price over the call, okay? So retie it back to hopping on the call. Guarantee is crazy, so to action it, we have to make sure it's a good fit. Now, this is genuinely true, okay? So I said, we warn you for it on the call. There's different routes you can take. So again, he's trying to go even further. I know, but I just want to get a rough amount to see if it makes sense to book in. Again, if I tell him the price, he's not going to book in, and me as a setter, I'm not going to get paid for booking in the call. So if I tell him the price, I'm going to fumble it massively. He said, like, I don't know what huge means. Could mean 6K, could mean 2K, could mean 20K, you get the point. And I said here, right, this is the retying it back up on the call. Well, listen, dude, as I said, the guarantee is only if it's a match. As I said, I'm putting my neck on the line. I don't offer it straight up without the chat first, because it's not a product off the shelf at a supermarket, okay? There's a few things that we need to actually understand for it to align perfectly. So saying that it's not a one-size-fits-all makes your product also sound more premium, and I also use the supermarket analogy here, okay? So this is genuinely true, and we can also just leverage it as much as possible. This isn't like any Machiavellian way to get someone to book in. This is actually true for the person that I'm working with. I'm sure it's going to be true for you guys as well. The guarantee that we have for this guy, I'm not going to share what it is, but basically, it's pretty good, right? It's pretty insane. So out of genuine truth, we need to have a chat with someone before we get them booked in, because we can't offer that guarantee to everyone. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You need to match a bit of criteria first, okay? So, well, listen, as I said, the guarantee is only if it's a match. As I'm putting my neck on the line, I don't offer it straight up without the chat first. It's not like a product off the shelf at a supermarket. There's a few things that need to align, okay? So that line works really well. The supermarket line, it's not a product off the shelf, it's not a one-size-fits-all, it's bespoke, and that also makes your service sound a lot more high level, okay? So it's just a really good way to frame it. So he understands our point. He said makes sense, which is great news. So now we're going to double retie it back to the risk of reputation. So I said, yeah, look, if I offered it to straight up everybody, right, I risk my reputation if I can't help them, right? So what he said here after that is, quick question, you've worked with niche before, so the niche that he's in before, haven't you, right? Now, this is a new objection that could arise. So he wants to see examples of people similar to him. So now his main objections and concerns are price and value, right? This makes it easier to understand and uses leverage on the sales call to best prepare for it. So we know his biggest objections are price and value. For example, he's very cautious about the pay on results offer. He wanted to know the price, so he's very skeptical about the price. And now he's also very skeptical about the value that he's going to get for it, because he wants to make sure that we've gotten results with somebody exactly the same as him in the past. Knowing these objections really helps us when wanting to book in the call and also closing it. Okay, it's really important that we keep a note of these things, because otherwise, if you don't understand it, you don't tackle it straight away, then basically you're going to fumble the entire thing. Okay, so what I said here was, yes, dude, you may have seen the one with X, right? I have the interview here. I'm going to blur these out because it's relevant to the client that I'm working with, right? So Again, this ties back into price. I said he's crushing it. He said, what are the numbers looking like for him, right? For this guy in particular, he didn't want to share his numbers. He wanted to keep that relevant to himself. He just wanted to give us a testimonial. But he's like, what are the numbers looking like for him? I want to know the numbers, right? Again, it's just price and value, price and value. These are his biggest objections that we need to be aware of, okay? So what I did here was reassure him that we have several other examples and it can work for whatever niche you're in. He's skeptical if it will work and if it's worth the investment before hopping on. So I said, I don't know if he's happy sharing the exact numbers he's at, but him and his wife are looking to now purchase X, right? Again, I'm not going to share that. He's doing very well, mate. There's plenty of other testimonials too of people sharing their exact numbers. The systems we use work no matter what your niche is. I can explain it further on the call, mate. DM isn't really doing me justice here. Let's lock it in. So he's asking for a lot of information. We need to, again, retie that and use it as leverage back to the importance of booking in a call to get a full picture, which is genuinely true. Right? He's asking so much information about people that we work with, the price, how the guarantee works. I'm not being funny. Like, a DM can't run you through that and still justify the price that we're going to charge, right? So we genuinely need to get him on a call so we can actually explain it, because otherwise we'll be back and forth on DM for a couple of days. We may as well just hop on a call for 30 minutes. Okay, so I said here, look, I can't explain it so the way that I want to on DM. Let's hop on a call. So that's a really good way to use that as leverage to retire it to having to book on a call, which means we're actually going to get paid for booking in the call, right? Really important. So here he says, makes sense. I want to get my setter to go through some leads first and see if things work well without hiring someone. And then after that, we can book in a call if it makes sense. Okay, so here is where he kind of goes a bit cold. He gets cold feet, which is what I talked about at the start of the video. We've come so far to give up, right? He's a good fit, financially qualified, and showed great interest. This is the recipe for a booking, right? He's a great fit, he's financially qualified, and he showed massive interest in the past. He already tried to book himself in. I couldn't sleep at night if I let this guy go, right? This is the recipe for this is the perfect recipe for a booking, right? So do not let someone go when they're this far ahead. This is a product of the price and value objections we saw earlier, okay? Preventing him from booking the call. It's not about the setter, like he said there. It's about the price and the value, right? So because we understand this, we can now use that as leverage, because he thinks by hopping on the call that he has to make a commitment. That's the thing, right? A lot of people don't want to hop on a call because they think that if they hop on the call, they have to pay. Here's the thing, they don't have to pay. It's a call, it's a chat, right? If you frame it as a chat and nothing else, it makes it so much less intimidating to them and makes it much more likely for it to actually book in a call, okay? So now we can use that as leverage. Thinks by hopping on the call, he has to make a commitment. We'll reassure him that it's just a no pressure chat, which is actually true, okay? So I destroyed his smokescreen setter objection by explaining that a setter won't fix his business, systems will, which is what we'll provide. So I said, look, makes sense, man. Do you think that hiring a setter is going to fix all of the problems in your business right now? As I know you said you're looking for help with ads as well, and that's a whole different entity in itself. Like, a setter's not going to fix all of that. Ads in itself is a massive problem that you need to learn how to fix, and having a setter that can perform at a decent level isn't going to fix your business, right? You need to have solid systems in place for the setter to actually have the work to do, right? Otherwise, you'll face a problem with either, number one, hiring a crap setter, which is a very common issue. They aren't magic fixes. They only work when everything else is dialed in, right? And also I said, look, listen, mate, I'm not expecting any commitments. I'm really not worried about that at all. We'll chat just to give you an idea, and at the very least, I'll still be able to guide you on the next steps moving forward. But I promise you now, man, hiring a setter isn't going to fix everything by itself if the foundations aren't there. I'll be able to explain everything further to you on the call, because truthfully, mate, you might not even need a setter yet, right? And that would be a huge waste of time and money. So this, honestly, I just completely destroyed that objection there, because here's the thing. He's told us he wants help scaling up and with ads, and he's struggling with leads. You don't hire a setter when you're struggling with leads. You hire a setter when you've got so many leads that you can't handle them yourself. You don't hire a setter when you haven't got any leads, because the setter's not going to do a good job because the setter needs leads, right? It's illogical. So I've just destroyed that objection entirely, right? So this is what eventually sealed the deal, right? Reassuring him that we're not expecting any commitments. So basically, I just went heavy with the risk reversal, which is my favorite line. I said, let's hop on. If it doesn't make sense in the first 10 minutes, you can leave no questions asked. But I can already see several things that you could definitely benefit from, especially on the setter side. Just keep that in mind, man. There's a lot of foundations you need in place before being able to hire an A-player setter. This is genuinely true, right? That is consistently getting you calls on autopilot. And having this chat could save you months/years of making those mistakes you might be about to make, okay? So I've made it sound like a no-brainer, a 30-minute chat to save you years and thousands of dollars of mistakes. his guard broke and now he's open to booking the call again. He said, okay, let's do it. Can we do 12 p.m. Monday? So I booked him in manually here because I didn't want him to sit on it again and disappear. I thought, right, I've got verbal confirmation from this guy. I've got his details, right? He sent me his email and his phone. Let me just try and find that example. So where was it? So when he said here, tomorrow 12:30 p.m. Dubai time, I asked for his email and his phone. That's what he said here. So I've already got the details there already. So essentially what I'm going to do is book him in manually because I didn't want him to sit in on it again, right? So once I've got verbal confirmation and his details, because this guy's being a little bit unreliable in terms of actually like booking it in himself, if I book it in for him, then it's just going to be like the deal's done, okay? He might as well just hop on at that point, okay? He might as well just turn up to the call, which he did. So I said all booked in for you. You'll get email and text confirmations, Zoom link you can find there as well. Any issues, let me know. See you Monday. So I booked him in my end and just told him. I sent him the confirmation text alongside our sharp rate process in the back end. For example, when he gets booked in, he's going to get a confirmation email. He's going to get sent more testimonials, all of this kind of stuff, right? So I sent him a confirmation on the text, and then also we're going to let our back end do the rest of the work. And I also sent him another confirmation message to get verbal commitment, especially important with manual bookings. So when you book someone in yourself, right, alongside your sharp rate process in the back end, it's good to just say, look, are you still good for tomorrow? And they say yes. If they give you verbal commitment like that, it makes it so much less likely for them to actually not show up to the call. And yeah, there we go. He booked in the call. He got on the call. I don't actually know if he closed yet or anything, but here's the thing: like we managed to get him on the call. That is our job done. We got him on the call. We got a qualified lead that was showing us signs of being cold and being distant and about to ghost us. We managed to get him locked back in and on the appointment. And that is our job done. And that is your job as a setter. So if you guys want more videos like this, just let me know. Just drop a comment down below. But if you want to learn exactly how to perform at an elite level as an appointment setter and land high ticket roles predictably, right? And you're sick of being paid scraps with terrible lead flow, and you just want to get better and be able to make 6 figures with it, just like I've done myself, working with people like Charlie Morgan and William Brown, then I want you to click the link in the description, book in a call, and I'll run you through exactly how I can help. Full transparency, this call is designed to get you to buy something, right? It's designed to try and sell you something. So if you don't want to be sold to, don't book it in. But if you're serious about making this work and you're sick of being an appointment setter that's not performing at an A player level, then I'll personally help you do this and give you the path that I followed. See you soon.